just wanna. Touchdown! Warriors with a second to go. Still alive. Loses the football. They have it up to Johnson. Boise State has won the Tostitos. He's going for the ball.
Welcome back to the shithole. I am Red, and it is a pleasure to welcome you guys to the Director's Cut stream for Wisconsin Badgers college football's curdled milk. Alan, it's good to have you back with us as always. And Akbar could not make it tonight, unfortunately, but that's quite all right. I actually just fired a flare out to Duck and Illogical to see if they wanted to jump in and hang out for a bit. If they do, they do. They don't, they don't. Already got a couple of people in the chat. So, Alan, I'm going to give you a chance to vent publicly if you would like. I mean, the subtitle in your name tag kind of spells it all. He's our resident New Englander, and unfortunately, the Red Sox did a thing. So I'm going to give you 60 seconds, Alan. Get it out of your system.
Fuck over there. So remember Nico Harrison and the Mavericks earlier this year? Yeah, Boston just did the same fucking thing with Rafael Devers to the San Francisco Giants. The second time, well, actually, no, Bogers wasn't signing. So yeah, the second time we've traded someone out to the West Coast for practically pennies on the dollar because this ownership group does not want to spend money and has not wanted to spend money since we won the title in 2018. Fuck Fenway Sports. Fuck this team. Fuck this organization. Fuck Alex Cora. And I swear to God, if you fuck up the young guys, you're going to have all of Red Sox Nation up your fucking ass. Go to fucking hell. Sell the goddamn fucking team. Yeah, Mario, yes. We kicked the Yankees' ass. Devers hits a home run today. And then he gets traded. And yes, I understand. You had this shit from earlier this year. But the time to trade it would have either been then or at the deadline. And not when you aren't letting other teams know he's available. What is wrong with this goddamn team?
Are you good now?
Yeah, I'm fine.
All right.
Rookie. No, he's not going to Milwaukee. He's going to stay in Boston. God fucking damn it! He's not a world player, fucker.
Your 60 seconds are up. I gave you a little extra, but your 60 seconds on up. From this point forward, we're talking only about the video. So, I'm not going to play the clip by clip here. I'm not going to roll it off the top and all that shit because every time I do that, because this video is absolutely pothole filled with copyright strikes, YouTube gets pissed off at me. Not to mention, I kind of try to keep these live streams from breaking any copyright because they are the only way we make money on this fucking channel. That said, want to give a special shout out real quick to our members on the Patreon. We're going to go ahead and shout them out. Captains of the Red Army, that's our $10 rank. Champ Gold, Malik Freeman, thank you very much. Shout out to our $5 a month sergeants, Anthony Brown, Adonis Fatchin Shaw, Ethan Giesler, Edgar Carter, Jonathan Peck, Me Cooley, Cameron Smith, and Jay Capelot. And a shout out to our two privates, Jeremy Johnson and No Edom on sandwiches. If you would like to get your name on this board and mentioned in future videos, go over to my Patreon page. The link is in the bio on my channel. And make a donation today if you can. You also, for $5 a month or $10 a month, you get early access to the next video, at least to try to get it out to you a couple of days before the everybody else on YouTube gets to see it. So appreciate it if you do. If you don't, you don't. But hey, as the old saying goes, money talk, bullshit walk. And we try to make money. So
donate to him.
Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and actually answer the first question here from Floby. from the Wisconsin video. I'm going to start from the start here and kind of go through everything. But this "Please Stand By" clip had to be played backwards because of copyright, correct? Absolutely correct. For some fucking reason, that one is copyrighted. And because of that, I had to do it like that. It kind of worked anyway. Besides, I found a new thing that I'm going to use in future videos. You saw it at the end, the shit's fucked error message screen. So that's what I'm going to use in place of that going forward. And I'm also going to get a quick message from one of our lads over in England, TS. My favorite moment from the video was when you referenced that Riddler scene from Batman, and I'm glad I remember that. What do you think is the most humiliating result in Badger history? Oh, bar none, the fucking 2014 loss to Ohio State in the Big Ten title game has to be up there with the most embarrassing defeats in Wisconsin football history, for modern Wisconsin football history. The time they got brutalized by Miami at home, that's there too. But that game with Ohio State was absolutely fucking monstrous.
Oregon fan, I'm going to have to say it was them getting brutalized in the championship game because if Wisconsin plays with even a modicum of heart, talent, and respect, and actually freaking plays to their abilities, there's a chance that and Ohio State maybe makes a close win. There's a chance that they don't even make the championship four because or Baylor could have gotten in if it was a close win or if Ohio State lost. And then you go win the championship and Ezekiel Elliott doesn't run over the Ducks. Fuck you, asshole.
So we're going to get diving into the video now. And I'll come back to some of these questions a little bit later in the video. I see you guys. This is a random one from Mario. Hey, Red, do you think NCAA will allow college football players to play with the NFL players during the 2028 Summer Olympics and flag football for Team USA? So far, only the NFL is allowed to play. I think they should, considering usually these Olympians are all college students from the U.S., especially your track and field team. So I would see why not.
Real quick, first of all, the current issue is actual flag football players getting upset that they're going to get pushed out for these NFL guys and wanting to play against them to prove they belong. Good luck with that.
Okay. Good luck with that. That's all I'm going to say there. Good fucking luck with that. All right. So, story time. How did I stumble upon this concept for going over Wisconsin? Which, by the way, performed exceptionally well. There were over 13,000 views at this point. As well as boosting our subscriber count by over 200 people. Welcome. If you're any of those 200 people that just joined up with us, welcome to the shit show. Glad to have you. So I think a couple of you guys might know this, but for those of you that don't, I used to be a regular on our Urinane Tree on Reddit. I was a mod there as well. And years ago, like when we're going back to pre-COVID pandemic, I made a very long written post, multiple written posts actually, of my own quote unquote legacies of failure, but for the college game, just as a fan, just being a fanboy, basically. And I was also bored at work one afternoon, so I just typed it up and I was just reading fucking Wikipedia and just writing it down from there. And then I made that and threw it up there, got 20 upvotes, and we forgot about it. Years later, now I have a YouTube channel where I actually do a lot of research into this shit and actually try to work on it. And I remembered, hey, that fucking thing is still lingering on the subreddit somewhere. The original account that it was under was deleted, but it was still on the subreddit, and I found it. So I saved it, and I furiously reworked the script because good God, did I get a lot of shit wrong in that original copy. If you stumble upon it somehow on the Urinane Tree subreddit, you'll see just how awfully bad it was compared to what it ended up being. I reworked it over the course of like, I want to say 2 weeks. And then we made the video. I began working on this video, rewriting the old script I made back in 2019, and then got it fully done by the time the college football playoff video came out. And then literally 2 days after the college football video came out, boom, I was working on it, doing voiceover, getting the editing going, and that was it. And I got it done about a couple of days before I uploaded to Patreon. So we completely blew through that. And I mean, I was wanting to make this video legitimately for months because I had the script, but I couldn't work on it because I was working on the playoff video. And then once I finally got my hands on it, fuck, I got it done quick. So it felt good. It felt really good. And I was very, very happy about it. Let's go to the chat, see here. Someone said I forgot something in the video. Mario, a little thing you forgot about read in this video. When Wisconsin was undefeated in 2017, it was fourth in the playoff rankings ahead of Ohio State, then lost to Ohio State. So because of them, second and 26 happened. So I briefly, I mean, in the college football playoff video, I also mentioned that Wisconsin was fourth, and that during that particular championship week, Wisconsin was in the race with Auburn and Georgia to get the final fourth, third and fourth seed in the playoffs. If you go back and rewatch it, I kind of touch on that, and we talk in depth, especially on the SEC side. When it came to Ohio State, they were already out because they had 2 losses. But for Wisconsin, if they lost fairly, there was a chance they still could have gotten in. Obviously, they didn't because Georgia had completely thrashed Auburn, and it was so bad Alabama was able to sneak in. So that's why I didn't really mention it here, because I already mentioned it there. You could argue, well, you should mention it anyway, and you're probably not wrong. But for the sake of the fact that it was already an hour-long video, I was skimming off any seconds I found to be redundant or repetitive or unnecessary. So somebody mentioned earlier in the video that the Sparty bits were funny. We're going to get to that later. I do want to talk about that a little more. We're going to go all the way back here now. I'm going to start us off with the original squad in 1889. So somebody made a comment in this video. Thank you, Rookie 17. I appreciate you saying that. There was a couple of salty Wisconsinites that messaged at the bottom of this video, and one of them was like, the Wisconsin miners weren't lead miners, which I promptly sent them the link straight from the NCAA saying the main miners in Wisconsin in the early days were called Badgers, and they happened to be lead miners. Sure, there might have been some granite miners in there somewhere, or graphite miners, or whatever the fuck kind of miners there are, but basically they were named the Badgers because of the miners that were digging holes and sleeping in the ground while they worked for long days and nights. The 1889 team was strictly started to give the school some prominence. It was started to give them a name. College football in the late 1880s, early 1890s, it was nothing but schools just popping up and throwing a football team together where they played against either other schools in their local area or college or smaller colleges or even fucking high schools. Fun fact. And speaking of colleges, Akron resident Red Rubber Duckwind has arrived. How you doing, buddy?
As I get hidden by the chat, but it's all good. I think I can extend it.
I think I can probably shrink this
squatting for like 2 hours. I think it should be all right.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna update the layout. There we go. I forgot about the chat box. That's much better. Good. I haven't had you on the channel for a minute. Appreciate you stopping by and saying hello and joining us for this a little bit. I'm assuming you have watched the video.
Yeah, Phobia, I know you. Yeah, Phobia, I know you too. Hey, Harvey, what's going
on? So anyway, we're already kind of talking about a couple of things here. So we're on 1889. So the team was started only just to bring relevance to the school and get them talking in the national conversation.
Right.
It wasn't for any other reason, really. Like in Oregon, you saw, their founder, Mr. Eugene, what they called him, bring football to the area. The New England areas, they were all kind of piggybacking off of the Ivy League. This is just, hey, we've been hearing football is getting popular. Let's make a team. Maybe we'll get some attention for ourselves. And that kind of shit. This is random. Rookie 17, who is the greatest Akron player of all time? I do not know.
Problem is we can't come up with a answer to that on top of our heads with the way Akron's
Yeah. I mean, I honestly was like this close to making a video trashing Akron, but I didn't want to do that.
You should have.
I should have, but when they became academically ineligible,
and I'll give you permission. I'll give you the gun loaded. There's a whole lot of there's just so much about Akron because in 2 years, like 2 years ago, they've lost practice times because of poor scores in the classroom, and now they've lost the first team to be ineligible for a bowl this year. Not just because of conference, not just because of transition rules, because you don't do well in the freaking classroom. Jason Taylor's a pretty good answer. Actually,
that's honestly what Google said first. There's also Dwight Smith and Dominique Hickson.
Yeah.
So.
And Jason Taylor also one of the winners of Walter Payton Man of the Year. They're proud of that. And he's also, and Jason Taylor also in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, class 2017.
That's right. He is in the Hall of Fame. Well, all right. I guess it's Jason Taylor then. Anyway, nice to hear.
Let's move on.
All right. So I'm going to kind of skip ahead a little bit here because the 1890s, early 1900s, there's not a ton to really talk about for the most part. But
I appreciate sympathy. Thanks.
So this was a really interesting deal when they went 5-0 in 1906, I think it was. 1906. 4 of those still play football today. Lawrence, I don't know what they became or if they became anything at all, to be completely honest with you.
Lawrence.
But Wisconsin went 5-0 in 1906, undefeated. They were members of the Big Ten Conference, which was then known as the Western Conference. But the reason why they only played 5 games, like I mentioned earlier, is because, and I'm going to play like a few seconds of this, so hopefully it doesn't. Well, we're not at the point yet in the video where I'm going to get copy struck anyway.
Lawrence University, the Vikings, they still play football. They're just down in Division III.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, gotcha. So, as you can see, and I know I got the screen smaller, and it's kind of prevent copyright, but the smaller screen is basically because in the mid 1900s, college football kind of had a bit of a crisis. During that period, you would see tons of college students getting killed on the field. Like a lot of students were getting killed. I think like a dozen students died in 1905 during the football season from just various injuries. A couple died in the same game too, because the game was played a lot more dangerous back then. They had a play called the flying wedge, where literally the offensive lineman would line up in a fucking triangle with a quarterback and a halfback in the middle, and then they would just run the fuckers over running downfield. They would do that on like kickoff returns, punt returns, and also even offensive plays, among other things. So the early version of college football kind of got together and went to Teddy Roosevelt. And I think Katie's making a reference to this as well here. Yeah. This was before Theodore basically forced them to adopt the forward pass. It's exactly what I was going to get to that. Teddy Roosevelt gave them a bunch of different things because he loved football, but he also knew that it had to change. And one of the biggest proposals he made was like, hey, you got to kind of get used to throwing the ball here, because then naturally you're not running each other over, just running the ball all day. It didn't really become a thing over time for many years. And obviously they didn't stick to just playing 5 games a season. It was kind of like a knee-jerk reaction in order to keep football around at the University of Wisconsin. And during this period, there was some schools, especially out west, like a few Pac-12 schools at the time, Stanford, California, they went to just rugby. They didn't play football for a few years. They only played rugby.
Yeah.
The NCAA, I don't think, was fully flushed out until, it might have been pretty soon after this. The NCAA was formed for, I think, other reasons besides students getting killed. So a little fun fact there, and then obviously the fucking shit with the Revenge of the Nerds clip, which I've never seen Revenge of the Nerds. I've never seen this movie a day in my life. I was just looking up like just bullshit on YouTube, and then I saw this clip, and I thought, oh, this will work for a funny little tangent. Have a go on,
Welcome to
Rookie.
me editing freaking videos and finding clips.
Yeah, that's how most people do it. You just go on YouTube and you just like funny nerd clip,
Yeah, most
nerds
people.
winning clip.
That's how I look for funny gifs to post on Discord. That's the exact same method I freaking use.
Yeah, unless I already got something in my head that I can use from watching TV or anything, I usually just default and search on YouTube. And then obviously the tangent right here where Michigan and Wisconsin are side by side, complaining about these fucking nerds about to ruin everything.
See, I was
Considering
introduced to it when Tree did a video on the Florida Panthers using a clip. Get those nerds!
Yeah,
That's hilarious.
that's an old video. I don't want to say it's become a timepiece because it wasn't a legacy of failure video, but like
It's
it is
not a
crazy to
timepiece.
think what it was. Well, it kind of is because you
It
think of
kind of
where that
is
team was
because
at then.
Florida's nowhere near that now. Now they're one win away from a second straight Stanley Cup.
Exactly.
But
They kept changing identity
the
back
thing
and forth.
is, they were the analytical gone show for the last few years until new personnel came in.
Well, until ownership started giving a fuck, then they made the Kachuk trade because Calgary happened, and then Paul Maurice came in, and then they just decided we're just gonna fucking. There's a word I want to say, but I can't say it. So even though it's not literal, we're just gonna beat the shit out of everybody and get away with it because this is the NHL and the rules are until they're not. It's a weird league. Anyway.
Oh wait, they
all
play
right.
Ohio State.
Yep, I went ahead and I jumped ahead quite a bit here because we already kind of got the vibe. So obviously the school didn't. That was the easiest bit to research for the video. They were pretty much nothing but mediocre for the majority of the 10s and 20s, 30s. Even when you know Stuhldreher came in to head coach after he coached Villanova for like 10 years. They really did not do that well at all. But they finally kind of started to get their shit together. And let me see, this was 1942. So this was like 1942. We're in the depths of World War II at the moment. So college football is kind of getting affected. For those of you that don't know, when World War II broke out, a lot of schools actually kind of completely changed how they operated. I made a brief, like, quick mention earlier that, like, one of those things that changed was that the opponents for Wisconsin this season included the Great Lakes Naval Station and Purdue. There's a couple of football teams like Iowa that kind of got their football team broken up, and I think they became Iowa Pre-Flight for a couple of years because it turned into a flight school. In the NFL, you see like Card Pitt, Pittsburgh, and St. Louis. They combine their football teams, or the for 1 year, and then the Steagles with the Eagles and the Pittsburgh Steelers combining to be a football team for 1 year because war rations and all that shit just made it more financially difficult to run a pro team at this time. So it was a lot. And you also saw in the mid 40s the last great age of the service schools because Army and Navy were the fucking kings of college football because they had all the best players because all the best players got drafted to serve. So, yeah, we'll get to Floby. We'll get to that laugh here in a minute. But anyway, I do want to talk a little bit about this fucking game with Ohio State and Wisconsin. A couple of people said that this is just an urban legend and that's kind of made up, but I read a couple of different sources to determine that this definitely was true. So this game is the dysentery game that I mentioned.
Oregon Trail.
Yeah, with the Oregon Trail meme. Yeah. To rehash it again, Ohio State boards a train bound for Wisconsin, and the train turned out to be an old piece of shit train that genuinely was trash and hadn't ran in years. And unfortunately, nobody thought to change the fucking drinking water out before the train was sent off to service. Ohio
Uh-huh.
State was just taking the cheapest train they could to get to Madison, Wisconsin to play this damn game. And keep in mind, they were both top five in the nation. Ohio State was number one. I think Wisconsin was number five. I can't remember if they were like six or five, but they were right there. And
You would think with some very high profile passengers, they would check everything more than twice just to make sure everybody was safe and well.
well, that's where you're wrong because here's the thing. This was also the same football team that Paul Brown, yes, that Paul Brown coached at Ohio State in 1940s. And he won a national championship with Ohio State this season, regardless. So anyway,
Yeah.
they board the train. They drink some. Half of the team drinks the water. I guess not enough of the others drink the water, and half of the team just comes down with this just contaminated water illness. They say dysentery. It could have just been a stomach virus, but officially, a lot of people were just dysentery. And Mario, you make a good point there. Nobody gave a flying fuck about health and safety back in the 40s. It was World War II. You just got to make do with what you got. And in college, like, yeah, college football was still more popular than the pros, but they were still college students. So it's not like they were, getting a lot of money to drive a train halfway across the country.
Mm-hmm.
So when Ohio State shows up to Camp Randall to play Wisconsin, half the team is just fucking shitting themselves and sick as dogs because of the dysentery. And Wisconsin would end up winning handily on that day. What I find genuinely hilarious in this is a couple of things. Number one, the fact that this was even allowed to happen in the first place. And number two, that Wisconsin found a way to still blow it. They got the win. Like, this is legit a photo of Stuhldreher with his team after the game in the locker room. All right. They had just beaten the number one team in the nation. And then they go play Iowa. And they do this shit. And they just absolutely blow it against the fucking Hawkeyes. They give up a touchdown, and that's all that Iowa needed at homecoming weekend to beat the Wisconsin Badgers the week after they beat Ohio State. And thanks to the chaos from all that fucking mess, it caused, Big Ten conundrum, and Ohio State would still win the conference, and the AP would still give them the national championship anyway, despite the loss, because I guess they caught wind of the dysentery shit and called it a fluke.
Yeah, pretty much. Even back then, Iowa didn't have an offense. Yeah, and even back then, they were still scoring 5 points like it was nothing.
Iowa hasn't had an offense since before the 40s. So Paul Brown's team had dysentery several decades later. The Baltimore Ravens' original Browns franchise had the Lamar Jackson poop game. I guess it's a recurring thing. It's a little bit of a stretch, but you know what?
It is a bit of a stretch, yeah.
Yeah, Katie, you're absolutely right.
The poop game did happen in Cleveland, but that's still a bit of a stretch.
Oh, man. Was not in the original, I did not know about this when I originally wrote this video as a post on Reddit years ago. I found this just because I was looking for photos of Wisconsin in the 40s and just trying to do a little bit more research on why Ohio State lost to Wisconsin. And then I found an article online that gave an extremely well-detailed account of what the fuck happened.
So then you had to go bleach your brain out after reading it?
No, it wasn't a graphic or nothing. Just it was just, I literally was chuckling the entire time because it sounds so fucking stupid. It cannot possibly be true, yet it is.
But it was.
Oh my God. So anyway, this was the best they got for the Badgers because for the rest of the 40s, and yeah, like I said, Ohio State, despite that loss, ended up getting national championship honors regardless, because the AP just thought it was a fluke, and Wisconsin did nothing to prove otherwise. So there you go. God damn, Riz is random shit. I am craving buffalo chicken like it's nobody's business. Mm-mm. I need to figure out if this place I like it delivers.
Right now, it's in my head. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no, like not even like buffalo wings, like buffalo chicken salad. There's this place I live in, where down near where I live. It's like 3 minutes away. They deliver me like a buffalo chicken salad, and like perfect because I've been dieting really hard, and
Yeah,
it slaps, dude. It's grilled chicken and it's with blue cheese and everything, the whole nine. It slaps. That or a Gold Star chili salad. That also sounds pretty good. So
great. I'm craving
It's
buffalo
nice chili
chicken. I saw that earlier when I was out dining with my family for Father's Day.
yeah. This was a pretty neat find right here. I mean, I always try to incorporate a little bit of actual footage into the videos as early as I can when I make these. But like this was really neat. This is legit photo video from Wisconsin versus Purdue. And I think this was 1940, I want to say 46 or 47, where you can actually, and I had to do some altering of the video to brighten it up and make it a little bit more legible. But you can still see like the Wisconsin and the crimson jerseys and the leather pants still going at it. I mean, that was a really cool find. There's no really direct video related reason other than just saying this was a really neat find for me because that was the first color footage anything that I found for Wisconsin to this point. So it gave me a lot of optimism that I wouldn't have to be using a lot of still photos into the 70s and 80s like I had to with West Virginia. Speaking of, I still fucking hate me. The Wisconsin fans, and I know a few of you guys are in here watching, y'all have been a class act in the comments section the entire time since this video was dropped. Sports and taking him on the chin and recognizing that this is all just for fun and it's a joke. There's a couple of people that got a little too butthurt, but the majority of y'all have been just very much. You've been taking it on the chin. You're just like your rivals in Oregon. They took it on the chin. You guys took it on the chin with a smile, and don't worry. You'll see what I'm gonna be. What I got next in the store, I think is gonna make everybody, both of them, very happy. Yeah, I'm not going to say more than that because I don't want to spoil it. But both those fan bases will be very happy with the next one I make. So, moving forward, this was the bad years for Wisconsin. The late 40s, this was when shit kind of stalled. Progress stopped. The coach they had in was not that good. I want to say Stuhldreher was fired around this time. And then they brought in, who did they bring in? I think it was, they said it was Ivan Williamson. And I wanted to try to find some sort of a connection between, the old Badgers or between the coaches over the years. And for some fucking reason, they all in the early 20th century, they always went to national championship captains from rivals in the Big Ten. That was the link. So I said, okay, fuck it. I'm gonna poke on them because that's the only link we have. Like, you didn't want to go to the SEC, you didn't want to go to the fucking anywhere else. Hang on.
Brad, what are you doing?
All right. So, let me see here. So anyway, we get to Ivan Williamson, captain from the Michigan Wolverines in 1932. Was a great player from everything I read, and he was a decent coach. And he did well enough. It took quite a while, but then we get into what happened in the Big Ten in the mid 50s. So 1952, Wisconsin and Purdue fucking tie. Hang on a second here. There we go. So Wisconsin and Purdue tie in 1952. And this was still way back when they didn't really have a ton of rules in place yet for like the Rose Bowl and who got what and why. It really, they kind of went back to the traditional tiebreakers. So they had the same conference record as Purdue. So they were co-champions, but the Rose Bowl picked Wisconsin anyway because they had the better overall record. And that's why this graphic exists. This is the way it should have always been, but the Big Ten decided to make it weird.
Yeah, they really did.
And we'll get there. We'll fucking get there. So Wisconsin, they get their first big bowl game berth, and they got to play USC, and sure enough, it did not go well for them. It did not go well. 7-0 was the final there that day. A boring game by modern standards. They were probably fucking thrilled with this, honestly. Yeah, I know. Let's go back to that Purdue logo real quick. They had no fucking right to make Boiler Pete. I think that's what his name is. Like, what's the name of the Purdue mascot? Hang on.
I think it is Boiler Pete. But, yeah. Yeah, they made him look like freaking Ed Hockley there. Why does he have to be that jacked?
It's called wait a minute. Purdue Pete. That's it. Purdue Pete.
Purdue
was
Pete.
something Pete. Yeah, Purdue Pete. He had no reason to look that jacked. Like I understand Boilermakers back in the day, they needed to be strong men, but my God, something's wrong. That's like Popeye looking shit. Like he doesn't have the massive, stupid fuck off steroid forearms, but like, what is wrong with his chest? I mean, it looks like he could shovel snow with that fucking thing.
Yeah, look at that. Still looks way better than freaking this. I'll tell you that. Look at that.
Yeah, the one today honestly looks like just a bad mime impersonation or something. Like, what did you do to? Who hurt you, Purdue Pete? Who hurt you? I mean,
they've been made to shit for a long time. So.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a fucking minute here. Okay, I found something interesting I want to show you.
Oh no! I'm afraid.
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
I'm afraid.
I'm gonna share this damn screen real quick. From the Purdue alumni page.
What on earth?
That is the perfect representation of I have seen some shit.
Look at this fucking guy. Look at this shit. It looked like if Purdue Pete and Rocky Balboa had a baby in the 50s. That's exactly what this shit is.
What is this?
Like, I didn't know Purdue Pete would look Italian. Like, good God almighty.
Not approved.
Adrian! We're big Wisconsin, Adrian! All right. If you fuckers don't know what he looks like today, this is what. Oh, hold on. Hit the wrong fucking button. Oh, that looks like, as you said, that looks like Elvis after he came back from the army. Okay, fucking fair. This is what Purdue Pete looks like today. So, I mean, it's kind of better. You know, I mean, it looks like a porcelain doll head. But I don't, nothing will ever top, I think, just Purdue fucking Pete.
Yeah.
Big manly man with the big hammer. Yeah.
Future. Future.
All right, we're gonna. This went from Wisconsin Q&A director's cut to roast Purdue Pete Hour on the YouTube channel. What did Purdue deserve to have that happen to them?
More of a roasted toast. That's basically what it's become.
Oh my God. Okay. All right, we're
Let's
gonna
move
move
on.
forward now. That's so funny. So anyway, Wisconsin got their asses whipped in the Rose Bowl against USC, and that was despite having Heisman Trophy winning running back, the Italian stallion Alan Amici, and then they still didn't do shit the year after that.
Meanwhile, Allen's raising his hand.
I mean,
You said Allen, so I'm waving.
Hi, Alan.
I
We're
know.
talking about
Alan.
Amici.
I know. Oh my God, Mario.
Who tattooed a P to his chest?
That's not even what I was referring to. Look at the one above it.
Wait,
We're making a Bill O'Brien reference without even knowing
why
it.
does he have a ball? Oh my fucking God. We did not just reference that son of a bitch, Bill O'Brien. I liked. I thought the one where I said that he looked like. Well, I mean, we've lost the plot. All thanks to
Congratulations! This turned to one of my streams and one of Illogical Canadian streams, mostly him. None of the streams go according to plan.
No, they don't. They never fucking go according to
Also,
plan.
Alan looks like he's seen some shit. What's going on?
Okay, what happened, Alan?
Oh my God. So,
Zap.
so a quick tangent for my
Sorry,
reaction.
Alan. What is it?
IndyCar is at Gateway. Lewis Foster just hit the outside wall, broke his suspension, cut across the track because he can't control the car. Leader Joseph Newgarden hits him right by the inside wall, which on the other side of that wall is pit road. He doesn't go over the wall, but he flips over, lands on his side. Thank God for the halo, because without it, Joseph would be fucking dead right now because his head would be grinding against the fucking racetrack. Holy, and watching from his onboard, because that's what I just saw.
Are you saying he freaking landed upside down on pit road?
No, he landed upside down on the racetrack.
Oh my
hold
God.
on. Hold on. Tweets going in the private chat. You can see it from there.
Okay. Well, that was your NASCAR minute. Thank you. Sponsored by Alan Nato III. Thank you, Alan
not
Nato
NASCAR.
III.
NASCAR was earlier. But
I don't know. I don't watch cars going fast in circles.
Shane Van Gisbergen, who's from New Zealand, won the Cup race in Mexico today, and then kicked a rugby ball into the crowd because that's the celebration. Because he's from New Zealand.
Cool. All right.
Rugby, the predecessor to football.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and definitely move on now because we're completely we're off topic. We were already off topic. Now we've gone so far off topic. We're going into different sports. Anyway, hey, this was random. This was fucking random as hell. So they finally kind of get a few other things going for them. And in the 60s, they end up showing up with Washington in the Rose Bowl. Wisconsin was genuinely favored by a touchdown to win this game against Washington. And then they just absolutely go and lay a fucking egg. Because it just you don't usually see massive blowouts in bowls back then, I don't think. You lose 42-6, I think it was, against Washington. It was a slaughter. It was a fucking murder. Yeah, I know. Look up Brutus Buckeye from the 60s. They did not do him justice at all. The Washington mascot looked like a Hanna-Barbera character back then. I'm not even kidding. Look at this. This is something you would see on Wacky Races from the mid-70s or something. That's a lot of detail. That's, family friendly, good look. The purple worked really well. Shit, I say they ought to bring this back as like an alternate or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Final with Washington at 60. Holy shit! Last national championship was in the 30s. Huh. Okay. Well,
Interesting.
Wisconsin, I'm sorry. There's no way I can make a video on Minnesota now. I'm just kidding. I'll fucking find a way to make a video on Minnesota in the future.
Oh, you're gonna find a way to. Oh, you're gonna find a way to make it.
History
Wisconsin,
indeed
history,
was fucking
Robo-Duck.
Robo
Yeah,
Duck.
I agree with that. I don't know
I
what they
s-
were smoking up there in Oregon.
Look, it was 2002. It was the future. Future. And they went a little too hard into the future.
2025, and guess what? We still don't have flying cars. Future, my ass.
Future is filled with
Ryan,
contradictions and other
Brian,
shit.
you didn't need to say that. You didn't need to. You didn't need to put that image into our heads.
Yeah, no.
All right.
Ow, the edge. Duck.
So we are now in the video.
Shadow.
We're now in the part of the video where Wisconsin and USC were going to be playing each other for the second time in the Rose Bowl. And then all of a sudden, I find out that 4 days before the damn game, USC is getting the trophy for the national championship. That's the AP trophy for the national championship being handed to the head coach for USC about 4 days before. The UPI would give their trophy to USC 24 hours before the Rose Bowl. And this is where I unfortunately rediscovered why I did not want to talk about the national championship prior to 1993. My God. So the national championship was honestly not something that I genuinely think that what people gave a shit about as much back in the 40s and the 50s or the 30s. Definitely not the 30s, definitely not the 20s or anything before then. I wish I knew this earlier because it's going to kind of cause some of my narratives to be retconned a little bit in a couple of older videos, but fuck it, they're older videos. My Oregon one's a year old now at this point, I think, so fuck it. National championships for anybody before 1939 were rewarded retroactively, technically, sort of. The first recorded case of a national championship, I think, was John Heisman and Georgia Tech, where I think they were buying like fucking I want to say gold pocket watches or something for the guys for the seniors when they graduated, or like a trophy was made by a local mentor or whatever. And then Notre Dame got a trophy in 1919, I think, or 1920, and they kind of had it for like 4 or 5 years, and it disappeared. Basically, the national championship scene was an absolute clusterfuck of like people just making guesses and spitballing until the AP started making a poll. And even once the AP made a poll, it was still a clusterfuck because the biases were fucking real. Again, I genuinely like when I play like the Magic School Bus shit. This is not a joke. Like that's legit. Like the fucking it was a runaway bus ride from hell. Look at this shit. The AP final AP poll from 1962. I did make an error and said Mississippi State instead of Mississippi.
Yeah, that's Ole Miss.
Yeah, that's Ole Miss, not Mississippi State. That's my mistake. I'll own up to that. I don't know why. They also can't have shit just like State, but that's beside the point. But then you look at the rest of this list, it still didn't matter. I mean, oh man, this thing is just a mess. Mississippi went 9-0, won the SEC, beat a bunch of one-loss teams in the season, and they could only get like 2 votes for the national championship. Alabama was the lost to Mississippi. They got 1 vote. LSU was in the same SEC. They also lost to Ole Miss as well. You see what I'm saying? You beat 3 teams in that top 10 right there towards the end of the season. Mississippi, arguably, if they're not number one, they should be above Wisconsin, right? The fact that they're not is fucked up massively. Yeah, at least he's them all into a fucking wall of trees. Floby, I'm going to go ahead and correct you here. The AP has been awarding a national championship trophy since the 1939 when they came out with the poll. The UPI started awarding the Crystal Football in the 70s or 80s or something like that, but they were awarding a trophy far before then. So real trophies were being made and ordered back then, just none that we would recognize today. So because of this, the fact that Wisconsin number one, number two in the nation, USC number one in the nation, USC was already the national champs. So therefore, this was mainly an exhibition game for them. So they didn't really try that hard, I don't think, and that's what ended up leading to probably the craziest Rose Bowl some people said that they ever saw happen, which was the massive comeback for Wisconsin. USC still won the game, but they scored, what was it, 23, 24 points in a row, uncontested until the final gun, and then it was over, making a lot of those pollsters that did happen to be there sweat, which I find pretty fucking satisfying, to be honest. All right, let's see here. So anyway, Wisconsin, they lose to USC in the Rose Bowl. They didn't really do shit until the fourth quarter. Didn't play well. Yada yada yada, and then they fall again into purgatory. And then John Collada walks in after their last head coach was fired, and of course, that's what happens.
By the way, corrections that Badgers don't fuck with trees.
I think he's making a reference
They
to the
fuck with
Stanford.
dams, but those are beavers.
Making a
Oregon
reference.
State is probably due to get roasted too. So
I think he was referencing the fact that they got to play Stanford in the 2 Rose Bowls, but
yeah, well, I'll take a crack at my own jokes while I can.
good attempt. Yeah, as when offense was starting to kind of become a thing, the forward pass was becoming a thing, so offense was starting to become a thing. But yeah, Wisconsin went 26-1 over 3 seasons. Collada somehow kept his job all the way to the end of the 3rd season. This was the start of the dark ages for the Badgers. They were pretty much shit all through the 60s, all through the 70s. They did not, and then they just did not do well at all until they finally broke out in the mid 80s. But this was another reason they didn't do well. God damn. If you're a Wisconsin fan and you would have had a time machine to go back in time and fix anything, the first thing you'd probably do is get Bo Schembechler to be your head coach.
Yeah.
One of the biggest whiffs of a coaching hire I've ever seen doing research for one of these videos. And that is considering West Virginia lost Bobby fucking Bowden to Florida State.
Dang.
So, this was I'm going to consider this right now, of the 4 or 5, videos I've made at this point, dunking on these teams. This was the biggest miss in retrospect that any college football team has ever made. But I found out what happened. So in the video, I say that, North Dakota State's head coach declined Wisconsin's offer outright and elected to stay at North Dakota State for the better part of the next decade or two, and really built up that football program in hindsight. Bo Schembechler was not rejected. This is incorrect. He rejected Wisconsin because I found out from a commenter that during the interview process, one of the athletic directors or admins for Wisconsin actually was falling asleep during his interview.
Wow.
Bruh.
By
Yeah.
the way,
Bruh.
to interrupt
Yeah.
early, Pete Thano posted an article. Well, of him
Did
and
coffee not exist in the office back then?
Kyle Bonagura from
Not only
ESPN.
did they have coffee, they had cigarettes too. So there was really no excuse.
Texas State is apparently a heavy favorite to join the Pac-12. Louisiana Tech is the favorite to replace Texas State in the Sun Belt. What's next for Memphis, and what's the Conference USA ripple? I will put it in the Discord.
Wait. What about the Pac-12 real quick? And then we'll get back on topic.
Who?
Texas State is a heavy favorite to move to
Texas
the Pac-12.
State?
And
Bobcats?
Louisiana Tech could take Louisiana Tech could take Texas State spot in
Texas
the Sun Belt
State.
Conference.
Huh. I mean, they need to get to 8
I think
teams before the
At
end of
this
the
point, they're
season.
just trying to
So
find needles in the haystacks because all that for another full member.
they need to get one more football member in order to be able to compete and get
One
for an
more
automatic
football member.
bid
They're
in
already
the
okay in
playoffs.
terms
So.
of basketball because you're getting Gonzaga in the Pac-12 very, very soon. But
All right,
then again,
getting back to
Gonzaga
it
and
now.
UCF football team, they don't know.
Yeah. Getting back to it now. So anyway, because of the fact that Bo could not, basically just did not appreciate that they were not taking his interview seriously, he didn't take the job and would go on to Michigan to become one of the greatest head coaches of all time.
Oof.
What could have been Wisconsin and the terrorizer of the Badgers for the better part of 2 decades. Oh God, absolutely embarrassing. So anyway, Ron McClain comes in and Squidtard, I know for a fact, probably loved watching this bit where they are volunteered as tribute in the Garden State Bowl in the Meadowlands. So, by the way, fun fact about this Garden State Bowl, it was the last Garden State Bowl to be played before they canceled the bowl outright. It didn't air on a major television network. It aired on the Ms. Lou network, which did not survive much long. I think it was the Ms. Lou. It was a regional network in the Midwest, if I was not mistaken. They were not a national
television network, and that was in 1981, I assume.
1981, yeah.
Yeah, they lasted 10 more years, and then it dissolved.
Yeah. The Ms. Lou Network, they were not a national television thing. And I think, if I remember correctly, Jaguar 8 made a video about this actual game where Wisconsin was given 3,500 tickets to sell by the bowl. And that was going to be what Wisconsin paid into the bowl game. And Wisconsin actually asked for double the amount of tickets. And they didn't even sell like 2,000 tickets. So they ended up being out like thousands and thousands of dollars because this game aired on a Sunday during the NFL playoffs finals week.
Red flag. You weren't beating the
I'll
NFL.
get there. Yeah. I mean, bad enough you're already competing with the NFL on a Sunday. Bad enough that this is also during the Wisconsin finals week, and it's in New York. So you're not guaranteed to be able to get transportation out there to the fucking game. So this was all just bad, stupid for Wisconsin all the way around. First bowl game since the 1960-something Rose Bowl, but they just poorly, just bad all the way around.
It was just poor timing.
Oh my God, yeah. It literally did fuck all for them.
Yeah.
The good news is that they were able to make another bowl, the 82 Independence Bowl, that they did win the next year against Kansas State, Kansas State's first ever bowl appearance. Yeah. So wasn't all bad. Ron McClain had something building for these Badgers in the early 80s. So they were kind of starting to make waves and, kind of get their shit together after being in purgatory for the better part of 2 decades, which you love to see. I mean, Alan, I don't know what you have really to add here, but like at this point in the video, I guess let me ask you this question: what were you guys kind of thinking at this point in the video when they were starting to kind of get that ramp up into the early '80s with the Independence Bowl bid win and everything?
Out fucking time.
About fucking time.
Yep.
Yeah. Let me see here. Wait, was Bill Snyder the head coach of the Kansas State yet? I don't know. Maybe. Doug, you
Bill
want to look that
Snyder.
up? That's a good question.
Yeah, I got it. I
Where-
got it.
Yeah, he might have been.
No, he was actually the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach for Iowa at the time. So this was before 1982. He only became the Kansas State head coach in 1989.
That's
So
interesting,
this
actually.
was 7 years before.
Okay. Well, that's actually pretty cool. Anyway, we keep moving forward now. They missed out on a bowl the following season. They went 7-5, but back then it wasn't based on record. It was more based on conference finish, and they finished badly in the conference. They played this game against Kentucky, and I am just going to roll this film and pray it doesn't get copyright struck. So, by the way, that was a hell of a kick in this Hall of Fame Bowl. Kentucky kicks a 52-yard field goal to take the lead.
Looking at that footage, it didn't even look like it went through. It looked like it just barely went through from 52 yards.
Yeah, back then this was exceptional for a college kicker to kick it that far. You don't get that every day. And this is also Kentucky we're talking about here. Kentucky football is, we know that they're not the best. So anyway, they kick the field goal and take the lead, and it's starting to look good. Which, by the way, this game at least was on a much better TV network for Wisconsin. This was on Turner Broadcasting, so TBS. Yeah, so they had much more airtime. Unfortunately, this also meant that. Yeah, and then also this meant, unfortunately, a lot more people saw this fuck up. So I'm going to be honest. I don't know what the fuck happened here. I don't. I really can't. I genuinely got no clue because it looked like the holder just put it down for like a split second, then picked it up and ran.
It didn't even look like he fumbled it. That one looked to be on purpose. Like, what? Dude. Like a kick could have easily gotten you the lead there. I don't know why the hell you're faking a field goal.
Yeah. I mean, they were on the 8-yard line. It's a chip shot field goal. Like, you can make that no problem. And it turns in, and this is the backup quarterback with the ball here. And he's just scrambling around trying to find anybody open, trying to save the ass, and it just soils it.
What?
Just absolutely soils it.
Yeah, when I watched it the first time, I'm not gonna lie, I thought I legit lost brain cells because what on earth is that play?
What the f was that?
Right? Like that by far was probably one of the dumbest sequences you'll ever see at this level of football. Without a doubt.
I mean, what do you want to compare that to? Dak running the ball at the end of the game against the 49ers when he shouldn't have, when he was almost out of time. Giants running a QB sneak on 3rd and 20-something. Cowboys putting Ezekiel Elliott at center against the 49ers.
This was Wisconsin's butt fumble.
Yeah.
This was Wisconsin's butt fumble.
I wouldn't call that a fumble. He clearly didn't fumble. That was a trick play.
You know the butt fumble, correct?
Yeah,
it's the equivalent of that. He's not saying it's the same thing.
I'm not saying, it's not the same thing. I'm just saying it's in terms of pain level that caused the fan base. It's probably a similar pain level. So
another equivalent of stupidity, and yes, I'm going to make fun of my own team. That play against the Raiders a few years ago, where freaking what's his name chucked the ball, gets picked off by Chandler Jones. Mac Jones gets trucked into the grass.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me go ahead and just kind of skip forward here a little bit. So, Coach McLean, unfortunately, didn't get to live long enough to really see his team break out. He legitimately passed away of a heart attack during spring practices, and I think it was 88 or 89 or 80. It wasn't long after this. It wasn't 88 or 89 actually. It was like 84. It was like 85. Spring of 85. He passed away of a heart attack on the field. And then here comes Big Barry, because this is when we are entering Wisconsin's golden age.
Ooh, that's so good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna set up.
This is when.
Let's set up the kitty's popcorn real quick while we're watching this.
Yeah. So this is where I kind of compare this to like me just taking a Wisconsin fan and kicking him in the balls nonstop for like 20 minutes. And then suddenly I stop and say, do you remember Barry Alvarez? And all the pain goes away because this is the best it ever got for the Badgers.
Oh my Lord.
Like, I might have just absolutely kicked your balls in the mush these last 20 minutes, but hey, this is the best part of the video for you. If you're a Wisconsin fan, it's Big Barry Alvarez.
Catnip halfway through. We'll make you feel a lot better. And then we're going to bring you back down.
Yeah, we're going to make you guys feel a lot better for a little bit. And of course,
that's basically what happens for the next hour and a half.
Yeah. Now, a couple of fun things about this at this point. When Barry came in, this is probably one of the worst head coaching jobs you could have walked into in college football at this time. I mean, Wisconsin was genuinely $2 million in debt. Nobody was coming to their fucking games. The players didn't really want to be there. They were just there to get to, fuck around and, be famous or whatever. And then Barry comes in and he did a lot of shit in a very short period of time. Got rid of the players that didn't want to be there with drug tests and hard practices, Junction Boy style practices, from what I heard. Even all the way down to like making the secretaries quit smoking in the athletics office. And just reforming both at the collegiate level and also reforming players at the high school level. What blew me away was how far Barry went with this. Like, he went all the way down to the fucking high school level, got with coaches at the high school level, and gave them tips and advice to help better develop the high school players. So when they got to Wisconsin, they were already pretty good, and all Barry had to do was polish them up. And the only challenge from there was just keeping them in the state of Wisconsin, which, when you think about it, back in the early 90s, it's not easy to do, because look at the competition you have around you. Michigan was still right there and absolutely killing it. Bo Schembechler's final ride with Michigan, they were having their final last hurrah during this point where they were really, really good with Bo. Notre Dame, not too far away from Madison. So you got those two massive schools right there trying to siphon away these players from your state because that's their backyards. Michigan is right next to Wisconsin. South Bend, not that far of a drive. So the fact that Barry was able to come into this program, build a theoretical wall around the state, and keep a lot of the top prospects from leaving the way he did just kind of goes to show just how hard it was to kind of rebuild that team and how deep the problems were. But it also shows just the dedication that man put in. I will never be a Wisconsin fan. I'm a diehard Buckeye. But my God, I respect the effort and shit that man put into Wisconsin's program. They built that man a statue for a reason. So we get into it, and we're going to kind of sim through a little bit of this. Wisconsin had they went 1-10 his first season, and this is how it ended with those seniors that came in 1989. A Rose Bowl win over UCLA. I think what Barry gave his seniors that season after they won the Rose Bowl, that he gave them all gold watches as a thank you for sticking it out with them for the program as like a personal thanks. Had to be the seniors because you can't give juniors gold pocket watches. That's against NCAA violations and all that shit back then when the NCAA still
The
mattered.
NCAA.
Yeah, back when they still mattered.
Unfortunately, they still do some of that bullshit today. You can't show up to practice in a tank top. You can't show up to they enforce your school's dress code better than your school. That's let me just say that.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, just look at Akron. They enforce your GPA better than Akron does. All right. So they had a little after this. The seniors, after their best players, their seniors left. They had a bit of a cooling off period, and we get to 1998. This was Wisconsin's peak, I believe. 98 and 99, those two regular seasons, I think were the top of the mountain for them. But 98 especially was the top of the mountain because very few teams could beat Wisconsin unless you have a certain goat with you in Michigan. Like,
yeah, Tom
I'm
Brady.
sorry. Yeah.
That Tom Brady guy,
Brady.
He's gonna be nothing. He's gonna be useless. He's a bum. He's on the wrong side of freaking college football. I wonder how.
Yeah, I know.
This guy's gonna do in the NFL. Not like this guy's gonna do anything in the NFL, right?
Yeah, seriously. Who the hell's Tom Brady? Like, who the fuck ever heard of him? He's gonna be a 6th-round draft pick to the fucking Patriots or something. They suck. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah,
like this guy's gonna replace. Yeah, you can't replace Drew Bledsoe.
Yeah, like come on, man, it's Drew fucking Bledsoe.
Yeah.
And then Mo Lewis happened.
Like Tom Brady's
and then
I was
born.
Irrelevance, right?
And then Brady kicked Peyton Manning's ass the first time, and the rest is fucking history. Fun fact, I also met a guy who graduated from Michigan at the same time as Brady at Hooters one time down in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
No fucking joke.
Yeah, guess what? The New York Jets are never going to forgive. The NFL world are never going to forgive the Jets for injuring Drew Bledsoe that night.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
I mean,
that was the ultimate shot in the butt.
Because Belichick said, "Fuck this shit, I'm out." You know?
Fuck this shit,
Meanwhile, you guys get Curtis Martin years earlier and Bill Parcells, and then we just proceeded to make you our bitch. So, thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, for real. All right, so anyway, Tom Brady humbles the Badgers because of course he does. And then y'all just continue to just fucking lose it. I think I just realized that hang on a second here. Okay, yeah, so this was all in the same season. So Ohio State got upset by Michigan State in 98. Michigan then beats Wisconsin. And then for the first time in like several years, Ohio State beats Michigan. Again, John Cooper Buckeyes we're talking about here. John Cooper could not beat Michigan at all. He was god-awful against the Wolverines. I think his all-time record was 2-10-1 against Michigan. He was that bad. Why they kept him around, I don't know. But, like, he was bad. But yet, somehow, they beat them this year. And that gets us to the god-awful three-way tie for the Big Ten championship. So, this is 90s Big Ten we're talking about here. This was before we had conference championship games outside of the Big 12 championship in the SEC. Okay. There were 11 teams in the Big Ten. You can't play everybody in the same season.
Right.
Flobby, shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. I'm not going to tolerate the slander. I know I put a 2,000 plus days joke in the dysentery one, but fuck.
Lots one I've been told.
Look at this. It's Michigan. Michigan. Fuck. All right.
Hold on,
I've been
hold
telling
on.
him that for days,
Mario,
and it hasn't worked.
if Mo Lewis never hits Drew Bledsoe and and even if Brady like became the starter, but like doesn't become the Brady that we know him as today, all of NFL history would have changed. But then again, that the ripple effect is players will end up on different teams and teams will look completely fucking different. You don't know who the fuck's gonna end up where. But I do
Well, you're
agree. There'll
forgiven.
probably be some other teams that would have won a lot more if not for Brady, and that just goes to show, you know, how down he
All
was.
right.
Peyton Manning would probably like for all of his MVPs, he might have a couple more Super Bowl runs, let alone wins, if not for Brady. And
So
then
that's something,
who
something,
knows
Penn
what guys
State,
like
something, something,
Roethlisberger,
115.
Manning, Rivers, Breeze, Rogers, et cetera, et cetera, et
Okay.
cetera, et cetera, et cetera, end up as time goes on.
Yeah. So I'm gonna kind of fully go over this again. So 1998 Big Ten race was kind of nuts just because of the fact that each of these teams kind of beat the other and or lost to the other. So Wisconsin's only loss was against Michigan. Michigan's only loss against Ohio State. Ohio State's only loss was against Michigan State, but Michigan State doesn't fucking equate in the matter because they sucked overall that season. So what happens? What happens is we get to the end of it, and Wisconsin's going to the fucking Rose Bowl somehow. And it's because for Michigan, they had a 9-3 overall record. They were not going to go to the Rose Bowl because of that already, so they're out. Ohio State and Wisconsin had the same overall, and they tied. So with that happening, you would think, okay, well, Ohio State beat Michigan, so Ohio State should go to the Rose Bowl. We get into the Big Ten's most controversial conference rule they had for many years until they finally got rid of it, the repeat drought rule, which stated that if you had gone to the Rose Bowl in one season and win the conference championship again, you cannot go to the Rose Bowl for the second straight year. You can't go to the Rose Bowl 2 years in a row. That was stupid. And also, here's the thing: if nobody else was there with you, then fine, you could go. But let's say you have multiple teams tied, then whoever had not gone to the Rose Bowl the longest goes to the Rose Bowl. This is why Wisconsin got the Rose Bowl as well in 1994, because they tied with Ohio State that season. Ohio State had just been in 86 under Earl Bruce. Wisconsin hadn't been since like 63 when they played USC. And so they win. In 95, Ohio State could have gone to the Rose Bowl, but they didn't because Northwestern tied them. And Northwestern hadn't been to a Rose Bowl in multiple decades. Ohio State just went in the 80s. So Northwestern made the Rose Bowl that season over Ohio State. See what I'm saying? It's a dumb fucking rule. So Wisconsin, because of the technicality and the repeat drought rule, got to go to the Rose Bowl over Ohio State, definitely over Michigan. Ohio State that season was really goddamn good. They were number 2 in the nation at the Final AP poll. They beat Texas A&M in the Sugar Bowl to earn that. They could have been national champions if they had just won out, but John Cooper coaching masterclass had to blow it, and it was the only time that John Cooper both beat Michigan and won a bowl game in the same season. Meanwhile, Wisconsin's pounding down celebratory drinks. Yeah, no shit. So anyway, Wisconsin wins the Rose Bowl against Stanford, and we get to 19. And I'm just going to kind of fire through this because I can't show really anything. We get to the next season, 1999. Hey guys, look, this is where I live. Why did I mention Cincinnati in the video? Because Wisconsin lost to fucking Cincinnati. You had Ron the Great Dane, one of your greatest running back in history for Wisconsin. 3 weeks into the season, you played against Cincinnati, who just lost to Troy State, FCS Troy State, and finished the season. I'm not even a fucking Wisconsin fan, and this shit pisses me off. Like, how do you do that? Like, it is astonishing how you can just blow that. Like, the downfall of Wisconsin in this season needs to be studied.
You were freaking laughing your ass off, like not in like rage, but freaking bewilderment. Like,
I know. We are Cincinnati. I could not comprehend it. I remember seeing this like it was like I remember seeing something about this like years ago before I made this video, and then Jimbo Fisher was the offensive coordinator of Cincinnati too,
oh
and
no,
that's
no,
not that guy.
no. No fucking way. For one season, 1999, 1 year, he was the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. 1 year.
They beat Wisconsin,
And it was
and they
that
fucking beat
year.
Wisconsin.
Oh,
Jesus.
How do you think Jimbo Fisher got a job as a head coach? Shit like this, man. Wisconsin, and by the way, Cincinnati wasn't even that good. They didn't play well against Wisconsin at all. They got one really nice touchdown. They got like 2 interceptions, but Wisconsin had like 12 penalties, multiple big plays called back for said penalties, multiple mistakes thrown by the quarterback. Their quarterback Kavanaugh this season was garbage. And this was with Ron Dane breaking Archie Griffin's all-time rushing yard record in this game. And they still pulled this shit.
Also, I gotta interrupt your director's cut for a College World Series update. Coastal Carolina from the Sun Belt on to the College World Series semifinals again.
Really?
Okay, Beavers.
Let's go, Chance.
Oh my God, DJ.
Oh no, they knocked out Oregon State. Oh, DJ, what the fuck? Motherfucker. All right. So not only did they lose to Cincinnati, Tom Brady is still playing for Michigan.
Oh God.
So like, hey guys, look, it's your buddy. It's Tommy Boy. Look, Tommy Boy, he's beating your asses like a fucking government mule again. Like, I can't.
Again,
this was the week
is he
after
really
they
going
lost
to do
to
anything in
Cincinnati.
the NFL? He's going to be a freaking 6th-round pick.
Yeah, 6th-round pick. He's got a whole. Have you seen him run a 40-yard dash? He looks awful. He can't run for shit.
Have you seen him
Most athletic player to ever be successful in the NFL? Most likely. I dare you to tell me someone more unathletic with more success, not counting a lineman.
And then the week after that, they got to play Ohio State. And after going down 17-0, they just up and demolished the Buckeyes the second half of the game. Like, the team was absolutely 100% off their rocker. I don't know if that was just like being down 17-0 against Ohio State and seeing that your season was slipping away was that what kicked them in the ass. But whatever it was, man, it worked. Because pretty quickly right after that, they go and win the fucking Rose Bowl against Stanford.
Yay, what do you want?
Yeah, the Rose Bowl trophy used to be fucking heavy too.
Yeah.
Like I know Big Red Fro, I know John Cooper coaching master class when that loss against Wisconsin. Yeah, so they win the Rose Bowl. They had it. They also got the outright Big Ten championship from this season, regardless of those losses, which is, and it also Ron Dane would be the Heisman winner for 1999 for Wisconsin. This was your peak, Wisconsin. Get a good look at that. Ron Dane, Heisman Trophy winner, 1999. That is Ron the Great Dane, the one of the last, what like in the era of the bell cow running back. You had your Jerome Bettises, your Eddie Georges, and your Ron Danes. This was it. This was it right here. That was back when a running back was not just a fast son of a bitch. He was built like a fucking plow truck. He would run your ass over or move your ass out of the way.
Damn.
Now you
So
have
like,
Derrick Henry trucking dudes into the shadow realm.
yeah, Derrick Henry is like if running back was still as important of a position in the NFL today, like Derrick Henry could be like a Tom Brady on that level. Yeah, no, let's not talk about Ron Dane's NFL career. He was a first round draft pick, and I think it was the first pick overall in the NFL draft after this season, but it didn't work out that well. He retired as a Texan, and not in a good way either. So let's get on to the
So
fucking shoebox scandal.
correction, he was a
Not
first round draft
scandals.
pick. He went 11th overall to the New York Giants in 2000. Played with them until 2004. Played 1 year in Denver. Played 2 years in Houston, and then retired.
Yep.
Once again,
Oh,
enforcing your school's dress code better than your school.
yeah. So the shoebox, by the way, it's a cute little shoe store out in Black Earth, Wisconsin. They're still open today. I don't want anybody thinking like I'm trying to dig on the shoebox. This was obviously back in the late '90s and 2000 when this scandal hit. And honestly, it's not that big of a scandal. From what I've heard, the guys that run the store in the Black Earth, they're very, very good folk, and they were just giving deals out and not really thinking too much about it. But they ended up giving deals out a little bit too frequently to too many Wisconsin players, and I think it was like somewhere in the neighborhood of 115 Wisconsin athletic players total, not just football, but across all sports, got into trouble over this, served some sort of a suspension. And then as punishment and it was literally just the shoe store was giving out credit to shoes or special discounts for players. Floby, we'll get to that here in a minute. It was just impermissible benefits, and like Wisconsin had already been in trouble twice before for student housing and recruitment violations earlier in the decades. So this was really just the NCAA just knocking them the fuck down and be like, take it easy. The men's hoops was decimated because of this scandal because it really affected their players. I mean, basketball shoes were all the rage, so they wanted to get damn good shoes, and this pretty much killed their season, I think. But I think they had like a postseason. Did they have like a tournament ban for a year because of this? I can't remember. But regardless, sticking to football, all athletics were kind of wrecked by this, and they really weren't good again until later in the 2000s. So we're going to kind of jump ahead a little bit here. I am going to say this fucking game. When I said like this game made me cry to sleep, I genuinely cried to sleep on this night. This was in 2003. Ohio State had not lost a game since the Outback Bowl in 2001. And when they lost this game against Wisconsin, man, I was a mess. It was already bad enough because I still didn't fully understand why Maurice Clarett couldn't play, the Ohio State running back. Until I learned years later he was in fucking trouble with the NCAA for impermissible benefits shit too, and money troubles. And that's one of the biggest what ifs in college football's history, by the way. Maurice Clarett at Ohio State, without a doubt. Like, what if he had played all 3 years and played through his junior year? The Ohio State dynasty could have been a dynasty, man. Instead of just one national title in 2002, and then you don't see him again until 2014. So Wisconsin, they kind of go into purgatory hell, and then we get to the fucking Michigan State stuff. I did not think I was going to. We've got a good question here. Who's my favorite Ohio State player of all time? AJ Hawk. AJ Hawk was my favorite. He, one of the best linebackers in Ohio State history, without a doubt. one of my favorite players. And the fact that he's also on Pat McAfee, pretty cool. I didn't anticipate doing a funny bit for Michigan State here. This wasn't originally planned, but when I was going through it, I kind of got to this point in the video editing process, and I thought, okay, I need to get creative, because we've not really had any real funny jokes and shit for a few minutes, and we're kind of going into the teeth of when Wisconsin was kind of really trying to grind it out in mediocrity for a couple of years. And it just clicked in my head, like, their name is the Spartans, 300. So obvious. I love that it worked as well as it did. The Spartan chants, the Spartan chants were absolutely like great. I'm gonna keep that. I can't remember who asked this earlier. I'm gonna keep that bit. Like, going forward, anytime Michigan State causes some shenanigans, Spartan, this 300 clip is going to be played, because that was honestly great. Kind of like when Notre Dame fucks up, I play the Nomine Patre Spiritu Sancti. Same thing. Michigan State's got this now, because you don't expect this to happen with Michigan State, but when it does, man, it's fucking great. It's fucking unless you're Ohio State. So anyway, Michigan State just flattens Wisconsin, who was ranked 5th in the nation at this point. It was 49-14 the final. 49-14. And like it wasn't even just like, oh, Michigan State scored a lot. Like, Michigan State both did multiple 4th down goal line stands against Wisconsin and just ran the ball right up their ass. They ran it, they threw it, they just decimated and embarrassed the Badgers the entire way. This is Lansing. So anyway, we get to 2006 and Barry Alvarez retired. Yeah. No national championships, but he did rebuild the program. So I mean, I can't be saying like, oh, it's Zap, you're killing me, man. You're fucking killing me. Wait, Michigan State was actually good at one point. I feel like Red has to become an archaeologist here. Using Indiana Jones, but he's like, okay, so I'm going to go off topic. I'm going to drive this bus off into a wall of trees for a second here. So, yes, Michigan State has won a couple of national championships. In the early 50s, they won, I think, 1 or 2 national championships in 52 or 53. They were pretty damn good. I don't want to say too much or get spoilers here, but like, their head coach, was it Eddie Erlax, I think? No, he was with the Michigan around this time. Never mind. All right. I'll save this for another day. But Michigan State gets involved later for other reasons. Let's just say Texas A&M's a fucking shit show. And I'll leave it at that for now. So anyway, Alvarez retires by promotion to the athletic office. And we utter in the era of fucking God, what the fuck was his name? Bielema, I believe. Was it Bielema? Yeah, it was Bielema. So we go into Bielema's era, and like, they lose to 3-8 Michigan. That wasn't 3-8 Michigan, but they did lose to them at one point when they were 3-8, and they kind of stayed mediocre again for a bit. And then they go into Lansing to play Michigan State, and they get blown the fuck out again by Michigan State. So this was like 3 years later. It's still, for whatever reason, Wisconsin played Michigan State and Lansing's kind of like a death blow. Kind of like how Ohio State used to always lose against SEC teams.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of skimming through a lot of this shit right here, because Wisconsin in the 2000s really was nothing to write home about. I mean, to be honest, after the shoebox scandal, there was really not much to say about Wisconsin. They were just there. They would kind of pop up once in a while, they would start to look good, and then they would get humbled by somebody randomly. So then we get to 2011 into 2012, where they play the Red Rifle in TCU and get beat in the Rose Bowl game. This Rose Bowl game was actually really fucking good for Wisconsin. It was a really good game overall. It wasn't like TCU came in and blew out Wisconsin. It was a close one to the end, but at this point, I already knew the video was going to be at least an hour long, and I had to kind of, I didn't want it to make another hour and a half long video. So I skimmed through this, but if you have time, go back and watch this game. It was a really good one. Suffice it to say, Wisconsin, they tied again in the Big Ten, but finally the Big Ten co-champions weren't decided by who went to the Rose Bowl last. They were decided by, best ranking and overall record, and Wisconsin had a better overall record. So that's why they got to go to the Rose Bowl and get their asses handed to them. And this was the start of the 3 winners of Madison as well. 3 straight Rose Bowl losses. I mean, it's just like the 4 Falls of Buffalo. At least you won some championships, but I mean, the Bills won the AFC Championship 4 straight years, and then they lost all the Super Bowls. Wisconsin had a Big Ten title 3 years in a row, and they always lost.
Yeah.
I guess this is the equivalent of the Packers making it to the NFC divisional or championship game only to run into someone like the 49ers.
No, I made the direct comparison to the 4 Falls of Buffalo in the early 90s when the Bills made 4 Super Bowls in a row. So the Rose Bowl used to be like the Super Bowl for the Big Ten and the Pac-12. The 2 best teams from those 2 conferences would always be in that game. Yeah. And the final of the 3 Rose Bowl losses was, of course, Wisconsin running into a wall of fucking trees because Stanford beat them. When Stanford's last great, era.
Yeah.
And TCU in this game was a BCS buster. I mean, this was Mountain West TCU, keep in mind. How did the school, Big Red Pro, how did the school with Melvin Gordon, Monte Ball, and Jonathan Taylor as their running back still not win a major bowl? It's Wisconsin, man. It's fucking
They
Wisconsin.
had Russell Wilson at one point.
Yeah, they had Russell Wilson at one point, sure. I think it was the next season was the Russell Wilson season. And it was in 2012 where the second of 3 losses was against Oregon.
Hello.
And
Hi.
You went from Wisconsin went from smashing into a wall of fucking trees to getting pegged by a bunch of ducks. Now give us the bread. Quack quack, motherfuckers.
I will not quack quack, motherfucker. I still to this day don't understand when coaches are like, yeah, we're gonna spike the ball, but when we get the player down, but you don't have a backup. It's under 10 seconds to go in the ball game, and you are out of timeouts. You got to stop the clock if it's caught in bounds. But if it's caught far enough downfield, you need to have a backup play ready to go. And with 2 seconds left on the clock, I mean, you could argue like, oh wait, they're going to have to spike the ball here. There was 2 seconds left. I mean, that was a roundup. The clock really had like 1.5. So when they spike the ball, the game's fucking over. And of course, that's not what he wanted to cook.
Well, I mean, hey, at least they didn't run the ball trying to get a first down with fucking 10, 15 seconds left and run out the clock that way. Looking at you, Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. You got to have a play ready to go when there's 2 seconds left. Like if you're not gonna have time to kick a field goal, you got to go for the end zone. You got to have a Hail Mary ready to go. So that was just boneheaded, and then we get into the 2013 season. Oh God! So I'm not gonna mince words here. This was kind of hard to talk about. So this was the season where Ohio State entered their punishment phase for the Tattoo Gate scandal, okay? They went undefeated. Urban Meyer's first season as head coach. They went undefeated, 12-0. But because they were on tattoo gay timeout, they couldn't go bowling. They couldn't play in the Big Ten championship game, none of that stuff. Penn State was the second best team in the country. Penn State also happened to have a certain Jerry Sandusky incident happen at the same time, where Coach Paterno had been fired the year prior, and that happened. So I'm not going to go into the details. You already know at this point. You're watching this, you have a remote understanding of what college football history is, and if you don't, please, for the love of God, at your own risk, do the research yourself. It's not an easy story to go through, but the NCAA put Penn State. I'm not going to go into details here. That's all I'm going to say.
I remember that very vividly because if I'm not mistaken, at some point during the entire Penn State scandal at that time, I was in the hospital up north getting, having a thing done where like they monitored me overnight to see how my brain fucking functions because of my ADHD and my autism. I shit you not. So like that era was around that time. Fucking wild.
Yeah. The Penn State scandal, we'll just call a spade here. It's a fucking tragedy. And I still, to this day, am shocked that they did not get the death penalty for that. I know that the justification that the leadership gave at the time was that it was not going to be beneficial to the school, but we were kind of past that point. And I kind of stay away from this topic because there's something I kind of want to make clear here. This channel does everything it possibly can to not go into subjects that are serious. I don't do that. And the reason why is pretty simple. We make a lot of jokes here. There's nothing funny about this. Not at all. I could make serious content down the road. I got a couple ideas for some stories that are not funny. But I don't go into this. And this is one subject that I am extremely hesitant to ever go into for the very obvious fucking reasons. It's a great story if you're able to tell it. And I don't feel confident that I could tell it in a respectful manner that I also would like to tell it in. And it's not because I would want to make jokes. It's far from that. I just don't know how to make content for something like this, where it's a very serious subject, where a lot of lives were ruined, and just, I tried to make it. There was one video. I'll say this: there was one video I wanted to make last year. It wasn't about this. It was something else entirely different that I thought about making. I wrote it out, and the script, I just couldn't get the script right, and so I just decided not to do it. One of these days, I'll dive into serious topics, but this is not going to be one of them. Penn State's recovered since then, but
if you know the content, there's like probably about 500 different ways you could get demonetized for some of the things that you have to mention because of this fucking scandal. Because of this
it's a subject that I definitely just don't want to go into it. It's not that it shouldn't be talked about. It absolutely should be talked about, but it should be talked about by people that are much better at it than I am. So we'll leave it there. Now, because of those two major things happening, Wisconsin in third place in the conference in their division, which happened to be in the same division as Ohio State and Penn State for some fucking reason. Legends and Leaders divisions. They were sequestered to Indianapolis. Nobody wanted them to go there. They should have been on their way to the Buffalo Wild Wings Bowl, but they weren't because they had no choice. There was no better team to represent the Big Ten in the Big Ten Championship against Nebraska. And then they beat the fucking brakes off of Nebraska.
Wow.
So I played the Batman clip at one point here where Riddler is like, "How did this happen? It's not possible. My plan was perfect. I have to know.
Somebody
I have
tell
to
me.
know." Yeah, I played this clip not because it's like I wasn't trying to be like, oh man, this is just terrible. It's like they lost to Nebraska earlier in the season, and then they go and drop 70 on them in the championship game.
Because
Fucking how?
Nebraska can't have anything nice, and they keep running into their own fields of corn. It does now. That quote doesn't hit the same as running into a wall.
No,
of
it doesn't
fucking
hit
trees. But
as
God
nice
damn
as
it, it still fucking works.
Nebraska's been lost in their own corn maze since Tom Osborne retires. So there you go. Now, since Wisconsin won the Big Ten championship, the Rose Bowl had no choice but to let them come to Pasadena. Oh no!
Oh no.
I mean, they had no choice. There was no way that they could deny them because it's the Big Ten champion against the Pac-12 champion, and they ran into a wall of fucking trees. I cannot fathom being a fan of this team at this time. So much success, yet you literally bumblefuck your way into an ass whipping at the Rose Bowl every fucking year. Sounds like you don't even want to go to the Rose Bowl at this point. Just send me to the Outback Bowl. I'll happily compromise. Just send Nebraska. Please send Nebraska to the Rose Bowl. Don't send us again. No, fuck you.
Nope. We had no choice. Yeah. You beat their asses. Now we have to send
The
you.
Rose Bowl committee's like, corn doesn't grow well with trees. You Badgers will get smacked by some fucking trees, and you will fucking like it. You fucking
Okay.
tool bags.
So,
God. Damn.
all right. And this, unfortunately, was the last golden age of Wisconsin football. Like, the true golden age was 1998, but then they had this little hill of hope. I'm calling it the hill of hope. They had the peak of the mountain in 98, and then they nosedived down the canyon, and then they started running up the hill of hope, and they fell right back down so quick it made their head spin.
So somebody chopped down a wall of fucking trees and said,
I want to talk about this fucking guy for a minute, Gary Anderson. This little piece of shit is officially on my hit list now. Because how in the fuck?
So that's good to me.
He's right there with Bobby Petrino on the short list of coaches that I have to absolutely dunk on in the near future. How in the fuck does this guy still have a job? So if you don't know, Gary Anderson, after he left Wisconsin, coached at Oregon State, and he left. So he left Wisconsin because their grade standards were too high for them to get the players that he wanted out on the West Coast. He wouldn't recruit Wisconsin as well as he should have. And when he got to Oregon State, they marginally improved, but because of the coaching staff that he hired but couldn't get rid of, he fucked off to Utah State. It's like he's progressively going downhill. I don't fucking understand it, man. I really don't. And if you haven't checked, Utah State's not doing the greatest either. So, they're doing okay, but they could be doing a lot better. Just saying. More power to the Aggies. Do everything you can, Utah State. I'm sorry. But yeah, Gary Anderson is like, fuck him. He doesn't, he blamed originally family reasons, and then Barry Alvarez just came out and said, he's a piece of shit. He left us because he didn't get the recruits he wanted. Their academic standards are too high. And then after that, you get Paul Chryst for a few years, which goes. I mean, it went okay, but they didn't really do that great. I mean, you get losses like this against Illinois when you're favored by 4 touchdowns, and it's just like that kind of sums it up. You're 6-0, and then you're favored by 3 touchdowns. And then, of course, 2017 happens with Ohio State. 2019 happens with Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. You lose both times. I mean, at this point in the video, I really was just like going, why even bother now? Why even bother? Y'all are like, you're the best of the West, but the West was such a toilet paper soft division then.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Well, I'm not going to give any spoilers on what the next video is going to be. Sorry, not going to say that here.
Stop asking.
I'm not mad. It's okay. Like, I understand everyone wants to know. I've been giving out hints. So, like, you solve the puzzle. That's what I always do, and then I'll announce it. If you become a $10 backer on Patreon, though, they already know because they get to see all the behind-the-scenes bonus shit that I do. So if you're a $10 backer on Patreon, if you want to see what I'm going into the process and have direct chats with me in our captain's chat, we call the War Room. Go subscribe on Patreon for $10 a month. Next, Phoenix leaked it. Next vid is on Central Arkansas. You heard it here first. We're talking about the Central Arkansas Bears.
Who the fuck wants to talk about bumfuck Arkansas?
Have you seen
the main one?
Have you seen Arkansas Central's turf?
Them is Petrino. Fuck out of here.
Oh, no, we're not talking about Arkansas Razorbacks. He's talking about Central Arkansas. The only thing notable about them is that they got purple turf.
Thing about Arkansas that's even slightly relevant.
All right, so that's pretty much where the bottom thing was on Wisconsin from here.
We were natural born sickos.
Yeah. This is where after COVID, man, the bottom fell out on Wisconsin. So, and now we are to the modern day. We're now to the modern day of the Luke Fickell era with Wisconsin. And I'm going to be honest with you guys.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really have no idea what's going to happen to the Badgers this season. I mean, you look at the schedule that they have coming up, it is a nightmare to think about. It is a genuine fucking nightmare, okay? The only game that they got to start in the first, the only guaranteed wins they have in the first half are against Miami of Ohio and Middle Tennessee. Because then you got to go on the road to Alabama. You got to go on the road to the Big House in Michigan. You get to play at home against Ohio State, but then you got to go on the road against Oregon. Oh, and you also got to play at Indiana because now they're suddenly good. So, fuck is right. Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State, and Oregon are all guaranteed losses for Wisconsin. No fucking doubt. Indiana, I'm going to call it 5 losses right there.
Okay,
so
hold that thought, because no matter how good Oregon can be, one, our top receiver might be out for the year. Haven't heard anything about that yet. And 2, Oregon loves to play down to competition. Wisconsin almost fucking beat us this past season. And if not for some fuckery at the end of the game, we would have lost. So do not forget that. Do not forget that.
No, here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. Wisconsin's quarterback room is in an absolute flux.
Okay.
Billy Edwards Jr. is not going to carry Wisconsin to an 8-win season, man. They're just not. And in order to get an 8-win season, they got to at least beat Oregon. Billy Edwards Jr., the entire quarterback room got gutted when their offensive coordinator got fired, and then they had to bring in a new guy, Phil Longo, when he got canned. Everybody left. Their best quarterback option was Tyler Van Dyke. and they tore his ACL against Alabama. So now he gets to play his final season at SMU because SMU can apparently get Big Ten quarterback transfers in this decade. Holy fucking shit.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck your death penalty.
But this is pretty much the end of it there. Like, at the end of the day, guys, like the biggest thing here when it comes to Wisconsin for this upcoming season, nobody in their right fucking mind thinks this team is going to go bowling, honestly. The best that they're going to do, in my opinion, 5-7. They could sneak in a bowl game and go 6-6. Like, let's say they play against fucking Indiana and beat them. They would have to win against Minnesota. Not a guarantee. It's Paul Bunyan. It's the Axe. It's Illinois. That you might be able to win there. Iowa's always got a tough defense. You're going to have a hard time scoring on them. But hopefully at that point, mid-October, your offense is gelled enough to where Billy Edwards is able to sling the ball a few times. You got your two guarantees against Miami of Ohio and Middle Tennessee. The game against Maryland's probably going to be a win because they're kind of stuck in a little bit of a limbo. But even then, okay, Miami, Middle Tennessee, Maryland. I'm going to say Illinois, and then I'm going to give them fucking Minnesota. It's 5 wins. Are you going to beat? Are you gonna beat Indiana? Are you gonna beat Washington? Are you gonna beat Ohio State? You're not beating Alabama. Fuck you. You're not beating Alabama. Fuck you. You're not beating them. I'm sorry.
So
The home series with Alabama was an awful idea.
Indiana might regress. Washington is kind of mid.
Yeah, that's Washington. That could be the one where they're able to get a bowl berth if they are beating Indiana and Washington. Then I'd say they could probably get in. But like that September and October, 4 losses guaranteed. Probably 5. You're probably going to lose 5 out of 6 in this schedule easily. And I don't think they're going to fire Luke Fickell because of that. I think that Fickell's job is safe as long as they get to 5-7. If they make a bowl, then he'll be fine. But with this schedule, if they do 5-7, I'd say that's a win for Fickell. If they go 4-8, 3-9, he's out. He'll be fired. I guarantee it. They can't do this shit all day. And Fickell, let me see here. Hang on. I'm actually going to check see what Fickell's contract. Luke Fickell contract, because he came from Cincinnati. I've taken him to a playoff. He initially signed in November of 2022 with an average salary of $7.8 million. And what? Wait a fucking minute! Wisconsin, what are you telling? They extended him another year in February.
Hey, what now?
They gave him another year on his contract after going 5-7 and missing a fucking bowl game.
What?
I didn't even know this. They missed the first bowl in 20 years, and they extend his fucking contract through 2032.
Who the fuck are they gonna get to go to bumfuck Wisconsin? Respectfully.
Oh my god.
They know they're
The
not
kind of stuff
built
leads to
for
contract
nothing.
reductions, not extensions. Like what?
Oh my god. Like it says right here, February of 25, his contract was extended by 1 year through the 2032 season. It was recommended by the athletic director and approved by the board. Holy fucking shit. What? They have regressed. Why are you extending coach?
Exactly. Why?
I should have. I'm kicking myself now. Why didn't I check to see what his contract status was? That would have been the fucking cherry on top of the video. God damn it. Now I'm pissed I missed that. Damn it. Oh well. You live and you learn.
Yeah.
Note to self. Note to self. Always check your current head coaching status. I think the reason why they would fire him anyway is because it sounds like they owe him $7 million, almost $8 million a year until 2032. So, like, do the quick math there. So let's just say million. So 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 7 more years. They owe him they would have to pay $56 million on a buyout, maybe. We'll call it $50 million buyout to fire him before the end of the season. You're
Yeah,
fucked.
that's
I don't
way
know.
over me.
Well, yeah, his buyout's way too fucking expensive now. They're stuck with him for a better part of the next at least 4 years. But that's it, guys. That's the director's cut for Wisconsin Badgers college football's curdled milk. Thank you very much for watching. This week in college football will return next Sunday at its normal start time of 8 p.m. Thank you, Alan, for joining me. Thank you, Chuck, for jumping in and saying hi and joining us for this stream, man. Always check out Ray Robert Duckwin's YouTube channel as well. He makes a lot of great content. He actually just made a video about the what if the 2020, I think it was the COVID basketball tournament, NCAA tournament just came out.
It was the third and final part of my what if series on what if the March Madness tournament was allowed to go on. Like, what if the pandemic never happened? And tomorrow I'm going to be streaming Game 5 of the NBA Finals between Oklahoma City and Indiana, along with the Logical Canadian. Right now, my next what ifs are the NBA, NHL, and MLB. I'm going to start doing research on them and doing simulations on them.
And my next video, give me 2 weeks. I think I should have it done within the next 2 weeks if I do it right, but we will see what happens. I just finished the script for it. It's looking pretty good. I think the video is going to run out to be about 45 minutes long. So a little shorter than this one. Not every video I make is going to be an hour, but they're all going to be fairly long. And we're kind of going to keep doing this for the next, at least for another month and a half. We'll keep pumping out these, these like types of videos, and see how many more I can make before the season starts. So once college football season starts, man, all bets are off. And then I'll be making weekly content for the season in some way, shape, or form. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to let the season tell me what I'm going to do. We could get an As the Dope Bird season 2. We could get a North Carolina series. We could get a series just about Nico Aliaba at USC. I don't know. We also are going to guarantee to get college football chaos vids again, and those were always fun to make. And I'm looking forward to it. We'll see if we burn the dope down, but I know I'm going to try to get at least 2 more of these videos out before I start digging into our preseason shit, and then we get into the regular season, and then I'll see what I can make during the regular season. So, Edgar, thank you very much. One of our Patreon backers, Edgar Carter. Thank you very much for the support. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I got Tulane on the radar. Trust me. I got a lot of shit I want to talk about. Not a lot of time. Happy Father's Day to those of you that are fathers in the chat. Hope it was a decent day for you. That's why we pushed back the start time on this one. I was hanging out with my kids all day. A little family time. That's the only thing that slows me down, honestly. But that's it. Thanks again, guys. I'll see you at least next Sunday for This Week in College Football. Until then, my name is Red. Don't be a fucking idiot. I'll see you guys in a week. Take care.